All right. Hello. What's up? Rich Ryan here, joined by Bracken Crocker, Jack Bauer. This is Race Brain Podcast. We are your hosts today. We're going to talk about some different stuff. We have some new Hyrox system of qualifying that has been officially announced. And we've talked about this a lot. So we have to talk about that. Then some new events, some other stuff going on, some hybrid stuff. So we got a nice episode here. And then things really pick up. Jack did a whole... It wasn't as official as I would typically expect from Jack. It wasn't like a spreadsheet with like analysis around what we're doing, but just like letters.
Text-based calendar.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Yeah. Bracken, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good here, Rich. Life's good. Downside is the studio's getting hot. It is heating up here. This one's going to be a sweat lodge today. I had to go with a dark colored shirt so that when I sweat through this baby, no one's the wiser.
Now, does
one of the downsides of having a podcast, you can't have a fan on in the background, and I hear you. My room for my office directly south facing right now is 132. I've got the heat of the day. It's like 96 degrees out. I'm gonna have some pit stains by the end, rivaling yours.
Well, don't get ahead of yourself.
I've had some pit stains. I've had some very memorable pit stains, actually.
You gotta crawl before you walk there, son. BK's about to show you how to pit sweat.
I'll find a picture and I'll show you that I had the worst.
Yeah, he's all about
history.
Evidence. I'm just living in the moment, Rich.
Yeah, man. It's anecdotes, just knowing. You're the best at sweats.
So there was one time my senior year in high school for sports awards after cross country season, and we went in there and they cranked the heat up to like 80 degrees, and it was just unbelievably hot. And they announced, like the most improved, the team MVP, all that stuff for each team. And cross country went last for some reason. And I was just dying, super hot. There were like 500 people in the auditorium, and by the time that I went up there, I had these pit stains that were literally below my rib cage, probably like a 12-inch diameter right there. And I got called up, and I was the Crusader Award winner. That was our school's mascot. And so I like got some trophy, and I'm like trying to like tuck them in just because it was just brutal. And my friend Ben, he was on the team. He's a smart ass. He's like, lift it over your head, because he knew that I was dealing with that. And so I did. And there's a picture of me with these like massive pit stains underneath there. So yeah,
you're just
might not be as frequent as you, but I've had bad ones.
Living up to the stigma of cross country being the cool kids on campus. You just did it right. You just are showing everybody how actually cool and with it the cross country kids are.
They missed out.
For sure.
People in the audience are like, I'm running next year.
I need to get to know this character a little bit.
Women
better.
wanted to be with you, men wanted to be like you.
Absolutely. I couldn't describe it any better. Yeah.
All right, so we got the new Hyrox system that was officially announced. I'm just going to kind of run through it, and then we'll talk pros and cons. You guys kind of seen it? Have you sunk your teeth into it at all, or is we firing off the takes today? You workshopping it?
We did our homework, and I want to preface this, Rich Ryan, by taking all of the credit for us. David Magida wants to lead like he's been in dialogue with them. Like he had some inner workings that this happened because he talked to them and wrote them documents and was in meetings. No, we did it the American way. We talked trash about them, not to their face, for so long that they did what we wanted.
Mm-hmm. They did leave out what do we call it? The facility? They don't have the Performance Institute. They don't have the Institute.
And they didn't do Devil Take the Hindmost for the last chance
elimination style.
The last chance qualifier, but they got everything else right.
Mostly.
Yeah, there's definitely some issues, and I think we'll bring some stuff up. We'll be positive. We'll spin it positive. It's better than what they had. Because
is this going to be the gold standard? No, but compared to what they had, they just went triple platinum.
Right off the bat, though, I don't know if I want to jump ahead. The biggest flaw.
Let's go through it.
Give me one moment of positivity. I'm pumping these out into the airwaves.
We agree. You're correct. Let's go through it before we start really kind of picking at it or talking about what we like about it first. So the new Hyrox system It is still Elite 15. There's going to be 4 majors, is what they're calling it. They cleaned up that language, which is probably what it should have been last year, right? That was an issue we had, that they were calling it North American. They were like regional championships
Opens
when
or something.
they were really majors, is what they were. So
Words matter.
they cleaned up that language, and it helps. So I think they even cleaned up the language within the majors themselves, which I didn't write down. But the 4 majors are Chicago, November 11th, Stockholm, December 2nd, Vienna, February 10th, and Washington, D.C., March 2nd. So right away, 2 majors in the U.S. That's amazing. That is
For
more
now.
than that. Do you think they'll take it away?
I thought that they said that it's not guaranteed to. Oh, not this year. It'll be fine, but in future years, isn't one of them a revolving one?
Oh, probably. And I would imagine
should
that it would, and it should be absolutely. Like
Yeah.
They should get something in APAC one of these years for sure.
Yeah, they're gonna have, as far as I'm aware, like mainland Europe, and then Scandinavia, and then North America. Those are always going to be one of the 3, and then you're going to have a revolving one. It just happens to be in the U.S. this year, from how I interpreted it. Maybe I'm wrong.
That you could be right, and they could completely change this altogether next year as well. They could give you the old Bauer system treatment. You know, we thought we had it figured out, had it drilled down, one and done. We didn't even get to see the Bauer system through a single year.
Yeah.
Oh my God! All this
I had it ready.
All this, you know, that's how we feel too, with all the work that we've done with this system here.
Yeah.
So,
but you do have 2 chances as an American athlete this year to not have to travel to Europe a bunch. So that is very nice.
There's some problems with it, but it is great. So you qualify to these majors based on times if you have not received a legacy bid. So the legacy bids are from the previous year. It's North American champion, the European champion, and the top 3 at Worlds with a roll down. So, for example, Alex Ronkovich was a European champion, 2nd at Worlds. So therefore, it rolled down an automatic bid to Ryan Kent, who was 4th. Same happened to Vivian Tafuto on the women's side because of Lauren. Lauren had one and then it rolled down.
I can see that this is going to get negative. I know where you're going, Jack. Rich, you're going to get in there too. And so I want to be a shining light today. Every time you say something they did that is great, I want to acknowledge it.
How dare you?
4 majors, changing the verbiage. That is great.
These are great.
Putting 2 in America is great. Now, it's not overall great because it's flawed, but it's great. Having legacy bids is great. And having a roll down, I believe it only rolls down 2 positions. Am I correct?
That is within
down to 5th at most.
The championship qualifier, which we'll get into.
I think the legacy bid is great, and the limited roll down is also great.
Yeah.
So I think this is a smorgasbord of greatness so far, and I want the people to feel my joy for this.
Look, I'm wearing my Hyrox shirt. We're not quite done yet. So the top.
I'm not going negative at all today.
We're staying positive. You used all your negativity cards whenever we talk about like World OCR, laser pistols.
Yeah.
That's all. You're all out of negativity cards for.
I'll join on the positive train. I was a huge proponent in my, like, when we came up with our own system, that head-to-head should be what matters to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what it is. If you want to make the Elite 15, you have to show up to these 4 races and beat people head-to-head because you know everyone else is going to be there. So
how they're using, yes. So top 3 from each of these majors will get an automatic bid into the World Championships with a roll down to 5. So, for example, if they're by Vienna, all 6 of the podium finishers in Chicago and Stockholm show up and they beat everybody in the field, 7th place will not get that roll down. You have to get 5th or higher, 4th or 5th to receive a roll down, which I think is appropriate.
In theory, it makes sense. If you can't go top 5 at the regional, you won't be top 10 at Worlds. In theory, it makes sense. And so I'm going to give it another gold star for that.
And then it takes out the possibility of, say, by DC or Vienna, like people who are finishing 8th and 9th, and they just happen to be at this event because it's yes. Yeah. So I agree.
Participation at that point.
It's a little bit of participation. See, that's old school Spartan right there.
Old school Spartan.
Finish 21st, finish 31st in a
Wow.
regional at Tuxedo Sprint. Get your coin.
At that point, you're spamming DMs because you know one's gonna land.
Yeah, I think that's how I did qualify for my first one. I think it was at Tuxedo. I think I got 22nd or something,
It's awesome.
and I showed up,
You are living
Impressive.
proof that it works.
and I got like 30 something.
Except for Rich and Hyrox that it doesn't work. But
whole different deal.
Yeah.
And then there are two last chance qualifiers. One is going to be in Hong Kong in April, and one is going to be in Germany in May, or I might have those dates flipped. They don't have set dates yet for the last chance qualifier. And so they are going to try to have it evenly distributed in these last chance qualifiers. If there are 4 remaining spots, 2 will be given at Hong Kong, 2 will be given at Germany. If there are 5 spots, an odd number, the last chance qualifier will have more spots to give. So that would be 2 in Hong Kong, 3 in Germany.
And I like this because it gives APAC one, which means Australia can fly there.
Mhm.
And it gives Europe another one since we already got 2. I think, again, this is rational, logical decision making. And I can't yet pick major flaws in it. I love it.
if we're going simply by like weighted average for how many representatives there should be, there's a lot of talent at the top for sure in all the regions, but APAC probably has 1, Europe probably has 8 to 10, North America has 4 to 6. Like that, those numbers seem okay. You're going to have a couple European or non-APAC region people probably get those last spots, as well as someone like a Gabe Heck or Chris Woolley, or, you know, someone from Australia who gives it a shot in the APAC region. But I think you'll also see people like Tom Hogan fly over to Hong Kong again, and, you know, Bo Will, stuff like that. You'll see a good, I think the right split end up emerging from this.
I did skip 2 parts to this, to the way you qualify for a major. If you get top 3 at any major, you then receive automatic bids into every remaining major. And the way that they will do bids for majors outside of the legacy bids from the previous year and the podium finishers at previous majors will be time-based. And it can be time-based for the entire calendar year of 2023. So not last season, but starting January. So if you raced whatever, I think Frankfurt was in December. So those times are gone.
So basically your time qualifiers are only going to matter for the 2 majors that are happening in November and December this year. And then it's a complete fresh restart for time-based qualifiers starting in January. Is that how I'm interpreting it? It's not a rolling 12-month period.
Correct.
I believe that's correct. Okay. Yes.
I can see
There's
that being
negatives.
an issue.
There's negatives to it. So I'm going to say the positive.
I'm asking the question. That wasn't trying to rip it apart.
That's a good
That's
qualifier,
like
'cause I
if
didn't
you go
think of it
and
that
do
way.
like the January 10th race and you have a 67, but only, you know, 5 people have run faster than at that point, you're in the top 15 if you want to run in the next qualifier at that point. Like, I know it's in April, so you'll have an opportunity, but I feel like the hard reset right there versus a 12-month rolling window makes it a little tricky.
I did not think of that way. Bracken, what do you have?
Well, all I'm going to say is the positive side. It sucks that if you ran,
If you
Worlds-
say that again, you're going to have to say something
Yeah.
negative, because it's like a positive versus a positive.
Fine, I'll do a negative sandwich. It sucks that if you run Worlds, do the next calendar race like New York City, like some of our women did, and A-Man, I believe, did, then that doesn't count towards next year's, even though it's the next season year, it's not calendar year, so it doesn't count. That's negative, but it ensures that these times aren't from like a year and a half ago. Someone's been injured for 4 months. It ensures that you've run it in the window of the championship season. And so it keeps fast people fast, and it gets rid of people who are no longer fast or healthy.
Right. So say that, okay. So the way they were interpreting this is that once 2024 happens, even these times that are run in September, October, November will no longer qualify you for Vienna and for like DC. But that makes sense. And then that would only be like a couple races to get times in.
Yeah. It's a limited window.
which is where I hop off the boat here.
Okay,
guys can
because this
take it from here.
this because I haven't thought about it because that does not make sense.
That's how I'm interpreting it. I might be wrong.
I agree.
but-
I haven't thought about it that way, but I think you could potentially be correct.
Like, say that there's a race right before Christmas and you didn't get top 5 at any of the majors before, and you're just a new guy, and you just show up and you drop a 53. You're no longer good enough to run in the first major because of the time of year that it happened relative to the calendar turning
53.
over. Yeah.
Where did you run it? There's legacy bids. If you run it at a,
I'm saying, say Matt Frazier shows up. He's never done Hyrox before.
He ain't running 53.
I know that. I'm
son.
giving an example. Yeah.
I don't like it.
Okay. Say Rich Ryan, who
Nick
wasn't in the
Simmons.
top 5 in anything. He runs a 53, just whoops everybody. That's
Now
what
we're
I'm talking about.
talking.
Yeah. Rich Ryan, this unknown commodity, shows up, does it last race of the year after both of the 2 majors at the end of 2023. But he hasn't had a top 5 automatic bid or anything at that point. Is that 53 useless at that point, where it won't count towards either of the first 2 in any of the majors in 2024? Like, I'm just wondering, is there like a buffer area where it's kind of useless to run it after the second major until the first race of the next year?
Bracken.
I think they've done a lot of really good things so far, but I think Jack's interpreting this correctly. The way I read it, there is a gray zone where it's not part of the previous season, but it's not part of qualification for the current season.
Yeah.
Where they're doing calendar year rather date of employment. And it should be date of employment or how these benefits work, right?
Yeah.
Is what we're saying.
It's still much improved, but there just seems like that, dead zone where if you do well during this random short portion of time, it's not going to matter. Maybe they don't even have, I haven't even looked at the calendar for that, but maybe they don't even have races at that point.
Well, based off this year, New York wouldn't have counted.
True. Yeah.
Yes. Or if it switches at some point, or like if they take the calendar year, because they had to use something to get people to qualify for this first race in Chicago, which is the first race that we're having in the United States. It's like, here is your major. Nobody can qualify for it, but we'll use your times from previous years, which we know no North Americans have really good enough times to get in this race if they don't go overseas.
Yeah.
So this first major theoretically would be the automatic qualifiers from last year. So it would be Makita, Kent, and Hunter, and then the rest would be Europeans. If everybody shows up.
If they show up.
Yeah. I'm 20th.
Which is all we can really offer, to be honest. I think it's good.
I'm good staying under the radar. I'm just good to be here. Like, if I did race, I would have killed it, but I didn't race because it's unfair to me. So I'm good to I'm going to ride this for until I'm out the door.
Yeah.
You're kind of becoming the Kendrick Perkins of Hyrox, and Dylan Scott is a medical liability. So I don't see anyone else we would need there. Probably just Marcus Wallace.
We need to get the Deebo needs to be out there. He's going to bully those Europeans so hard. It's not even going to be like,
wait, does he also have an auto qualifier from his second place?
Just the winner at European and
only the winner. Okay.
So Dylan and his 58.30 is out. His 59.40 or 50 something that he ran at North Americans would be his time, because that's
the one that gets it. Wow.
Huh. And that's going to put him in that'll put him close to 30th, I think.
He won't get in at the moment despite beating a bunch of
and they didn't put out if they're going to do that stupid thing where it's like roll down until a certain point, until like the 30th thing. They haven't, I don't think. I hope that they had, because of how big of a deal we made it. We are the ones who make the change here, and we made a big deal about that.
Change makers.
We are, yes. The taste
progress starts with us.
Yes. So I would imagine they're not going to do that, but I don't think they're going to need that outside of potentially Chicago. And even in that case, if you're a European racer, put yourselves in their shoes. You're looking at this first event, and just say you can assume that Hunter's going to go, Kent's going to go, Makita's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
How many of the European racers look at this and are like, that's where I'm going to go? And Stockholm is the same day as DecaFit, the same weekend as DecaFit. Like, do you look at this Chicago race and like, I'm gonna go and punch my ticket there, or are you like, I have Stockholm and Vienna. Let me not do this.
Yeah, but less competition because the US, you won't see anybody from the US traveling over to Stockholm because of DecaFit World Championships. That's what you're saying.
I mean,
most likely.
I mean, if I was thinking, I'd be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would assume.
I made this mistake last year, assuming they would think about their travel and competitions the way we do. No one, I made a statement on here saying it's not going to matter for North American champs because not that many people are going to come over.
Right.
And I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not going to try to
Right.
say that logic is going to hold up because it does logically, but they just love Hyrox so much. They're traveling for it. Like we traveled for Spartan Race when Spartan Race first started up. We were traveling like crazy all over the place. And so your logic's solid, but I wouldn't like
can't
bet anything
count on that.
it.
Yeah,
No.
I think you're right because of what we did see last year, like the 28th time in the world coming over to North American Championships to just like finish 7 minutes outside of the top 3. So maybe they're not thinking of it that way.
There's another layer to this if you want to dive deep into conspiracy theory, which is if you're a European athlete, this is your chance to make sure that none of you guys get to go to Worlds. Because we already know you're probably not traveling overseas for races. We rarely send overseas athletes. Rich, you've already said you're going to go and assassin at the races. That's cool. We're sending our emissary.
Yes.
But if we're not traveling very much, and if we do our backs give out, then most likely if they come here and just fill the starting line, they can run 69 minutes and keep us out of Worlds.
Right. And
I
like
say us like I'm going to be there.
You're in there.
Americans, though, like you could just fill the ranks and say, "They're like this is your qualifier, but you don't get to race it."
Which is on the table, right? Like it would be a tall order. Like even me at 20th, I'm not comfortable thinking that I'm going to get some kind of roll down to get into this race. So they could certainly do something like that. So I would just assume that they're all going to come to that first one.
Yeah.
Because once these bids start getting filled up, they might not have the opportunity.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to guarantee you get in because you already have your spot with, enough people probably took an off season where they're not going to run much faster at that point in the year in November.
I don't know.
There's also money. We didn't get to the money statement yet, but there's money, and that complicates things as well. They're not going to say, "Oh, we've got our 2 chances. We don't need our qualifier." Well, you might need some spending money.
And these are going to be the only, like there's 5 opportunities in this year. They're not paying out last chance qualifiers, I don't believe. But between the 4 majors and Worlds, there's 5 opportunities to make money. And if you feel like you have a chance to make that money, like if you are a Ronkovic, a Sandbach, a Tim Vinish, like you're probably looking at it.
Toby's got kids to feed.
He has 1 million kids. He needs to get food in their mouths. He doesn't travel too much. We haven't seen it
yet.
We haven't seen
his appearance fees now that he's world champ.
He gets them now retroactively from 2021.
I mean, now they're
usually how it works.
These will kick in 2024 season.
Yeah.
If you can maintain.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yes, 42,000 I think is the purse.
21,000. So I've actually been trying to figure out like the math on what it might end up being.
Let's hear it.
And I've got it within about $500 or so. If you do 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,500, 2,000, 1,500, 500, 750, 500, 250. So basically you're just going down 1,000 until about 5th place and then 500 after that. That adds up to 20,500, which is roughly what they've got right there.
So say it's 5,500 for the win.
Yeah,
just give that to the winner.
It might be, I think they've done 8,000 in the past. So maybe they do that and then shrink up a little the lower end before that. So I don't know that it's probably going to be between 5,000 and 8,000 for the win. You're going to see people travel for that.
Yeah.
And yes. And that's also rumored is that they're going to try to get everyone paid who is in the heat. Like if you get last place, you show up.
Oh, even 15th? Not, I thought it said 10th.
Oh, did it say 10th? I don't think it said
everyone?
anything. I that's a rumor that I've heard that I'm now spreading.
I read it as all invited spots go home with money. Everyone who toes the line will leave with something. I assume you have to finish.
Just show up.
Never know.
Well, Hobie only had to show up one time, and he got paid for just being there.
It's true, but he had already earned that in a series.
Yeah.
So yeah, the money will play a factor and probably get, and I think what they want, right, is they want some continuity between races because so they can tell stories and people can be familiar. They're not that interested in finding the best. They are much more interested in putting on a product that shows who the audience could potentially think would be the best. So I don't think that they care to have you know, different racers at the 60 different racers show up at these events, right?
Yeah.
They would rather it be between 15 and 20, honestly.
They want Hunter at every race.
They want Hunter at every single race. Yes.
Yeah.
They want Meg and Lauren at every single race. But I don't know why they did that thing with Deca. I mean, if you're them, do you think they even thought about Deca?
But not.
Probably not. Because I mean, that prize money, like say Jack, they skew it even heavier. Like first place is 10, and then it just like trickles way down, right?
Yeah. Let me share my screen, Rich.
You're talking Deca World Champs, right?
Talking Deca World Champs. It's the same.
Oh, Deca World Champ. I thought we were talking Hyrox.
With this is a US chance now to go get a Hyrox qualifier potentially.
Yeah.
If everybody,
if you're willing to skip Deca,
if you want to skip Deca and a better payday.
Yeah.
Because if it's 10, you'd have to win fit, strong, and mile to make 9. And you could, if you could just win 1.
So right here, I've got like this adds up. If you're paying 1 to 15, here are just like some ballpark estimates at the moment, but that would add up to 20,500 if you're doing top 15. And I feel like that's a reasonable progression at that point.
Yeah.
Who knows realistically? Maybe they'll do like 11 through 15. Everybody gets 100, and stack it a little higher towards the front. But
spread out top 3 a little more from.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably going to be different than that. But this is just like the most logical I could do on that.
That'd be great if it's like $100. You just give it like a Chipotle gift card.
Yeah.
I bet it's 532. And then they'll go from there.
2,500. Yeah.
Just fill in.
That got a little lower, but you're probably right. 532. And then maybe these are like 200, 400, 600, 800, something like that.
I think like the winners of the European and North American Championship last year, I think that was like 75.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. And I could see that without giving more people lower down, keep it higher at the top. But
yeah. If you do 75,
it won't be less than 5. I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Nah.
Yeah, this could work.
So, something like this. It's close enough, but
yeah. So if you go to a major and get 9th, you'd win $700 according to that Bauer system. And that's pretty good. I mean, if most of those people who are getting, if you are someone that's getting 9th, like you're probably not winning a ton of money throughout the season anyway. That might be your best payday all year.
Oh, it will be.
I'll
take that. I need to get in these so I can get at least 9th.
You still ain't going to go into Spain?
I'm signed up.
Signed up? Do you have your flight?
Signed up. Don't have a flight yet. I should get the
I'll
flight.
Look out for you.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm not that pumped about the idea of going to race in a country where I like don't speak the language. I don't really know what the food situation's like. I don't know anything about Spain.
Are you going to need to put on grow a mustache or
Spain's
wear
easy.
something different so that they don't recognize you? Because I can't imagine you're public. You might be public enemy number 1 over there in the Hyrox world.
I'm coming out with my shirt off. I'm going to be
man of the people.
Yeah. I'm going to go like full Hunter over there. Just being like, making sure people know that I'm in the building.
Most people speak English in Spain. The food's an easy transition. You'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go, you can buy rice and chicken.
It's not all tapas.
I mean, even
Is
if
it
it is,
all-
you just get multiple.
Just get a bunch more. I always found tap is not a great value.
No, it's an experience
It is an experience. Are they smoking cigs?
everywhere.
It's Western Europe, of course it is.
Yeah, they
Spain
just-
is the cigarette smokingest country I've been to.
It's worse than France.
Well, I don't know. I'm not here to debate.
Well, that was the first thing that I noticed when I went to Paris. Like I after I got off the train from the airport or the bus from the airport, got out there. I'm like, all that I do is smell cigarettes. This is so different.
Paris might be worse.
gonna hit a 53 like Jack said, and then just hit a
It's
couple
not gonna matter.
hit a couple lung darts right after. Just let them know I'm into that culture. I like it.
Yeah.
But so yes. Let's run through some scenarios.
Has anyone ever ripped a heater across the finish line?
Not that I've seen.
I think that's it.
It'd be like the challenge would be of like the sweat rate and just trying to keep it dry.
I
Maybe
think
like
you get one of those
like a
Cruella
roach
de
clip.
Vil,
Yeah, like-
extenders on it.
I think that will work. Have somebody hit me with a Zippo
Yep.
at the end.
You know
Yeah.
that Tobias would sprint by you on that last step though, just like he did to Kent.
You punch your ticket and you let them know that you're here for
Afterwards.
for it all.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna eat so many small plates of fucking jambone, whatever.
Jambone.
So in that case, in that scenario, like I'm looking at it, seated 20th right now, need to get a time just to run that Chicago race. So under the way that Jack, you interpreted the rules, which didn't even cross my freaking mind, is that once 2024 starts, this Spanish time, say it's whatever, say it's like normal. It's like a regular race. I run a little bit faster, run like 58:40. Like it's still early in the season. I have no idea. And I'm going to start making excuses right now.
Mhm.
Start
Now.
early. Yeah.
So that when I don't show up potentially the way that I've been talking shit like everyone else does, it's early in the season, baby. I got time.
Should we segment this? These are 2023 excuses, and you can reset in 2024 if something new happens.
Same deal. Same
All
deal.
right. Just like the rules.
Just like the rules, my excuses will be predictable and change. So, but say I don't, right? Say like I catch a good course. I'm in like 59 shape. That gives me like a 57 flat, which would.
Whoa. What did Cole run in Spain?
60
He was like
flat.
60-11 or something.
All right. With all the trash you've talked about him, you're putting yourself 40 seconds faster than him.
No, I'm giving myself 2 minutes off of my time. Say I'm in 59
Did you
shape.
say you catch a 59?
He said
in
if he's
59
US
shape.
59 shape.
I catch at 57.
I thought I was hearing that you would have outleaned Cole.
Ideally not. Ideally not. Then that time would then reset. So say, it's 56:50.
Okay.
I'm like, sweet. But then Vienna rolls around and my time is taken out. And say I get fourth in Chicago.
It doesn't matter at that point.
Then I'm out. Then I'm out of. Then I need to run something fast between
2 weeks later.
between January 1st and February 10th, which we probably won't even have an event here.
It's not February 10th. It's by like mid-January because of the cutoff.
that's
It's
true.
2 weeks ahead of time.
That's true.
And
My
then you
guess
got to
is-
worry about international travel during U.S. holidays. Like that's going to be so expensive.
Oh
Is
my
it
God,
even
they
going to be
didn't-
worth it?
This is
My
what I
guess
didn't
is there's
think.
going to be an addendum, an update that said, hey, the language says this, but what we intended was they've done that in the past where they've just said something like this is actually how it's interpreted. I think if this is how it reads and we're reading it correctly, they will give a update that interprets it with a bit more leniency.
Well, they should, but I don't think they have done that.
That roll down. We didn't know there was a roll down ever.
Well, that was
They're
new.
like, yeah.
That was new to this year.
No. I'm talking about to get into to the championship. Like we're just going to roll down. And what we meant is we're not going past 30. Like they've had a
Right.
few updates in the past. There's a chance this is an update.
Well, we knew that they were going to have a roll down, but the 30 thing was something that they should have taken out, but they didn't because they're like, oh, these are the rules. We don't know why we made it like this,
Mhm.
but we made it like this and we're not going to change it. This could be similar. Like, oh, we just figured you would get a race in between then and Vienna. It's like, we're probably not going to have it, even by DC. And if it has to be US, that could be, but it would be bad for everybody.
I think you've got to also realize by the time DC, that's the April one.
March 2nd. So
March
kind of
2nd.
early.
Okay. Okay, never mind. The time in the year that's so tough. And then you've got races within 2 weeks of each other transatlantic. This is potentially a disaster if you don't end up getting top 3.
And by that time, okay, so say 3 people who don't already have legacy bids qualify at Chicago, right? For whatever reason, Kent's not on the podium.
It happened last year.
Yeah, like someone can't make it. Hunter doesn't make it. Kent doesn't make it. And then it's and Dave doesn't make it. It's me, Dylan, and Marcus Wallace. We all make it. Bang. So in the next race, there could potentially be 7 spots already accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
And then say for whatever reason, 2 more happen. 1 to 2 more happen. So it'll be like realistically, like by the way that this is written, it could be 3 more, and then it could be 10 spots taken by the time they get to Vienna. And so like it's becoming smaller and smaller, like for the opportunities for athletes who haven't already automatically qualified or have this legacy bid. And then they're going to need some kind of crazy time to get in. You're not going to get in to this race where there's already 7 to 10 automatic people showing up. And like, what are you going to have to run in that? You're going to have to run a Spanish course.
Now, I'm okay with this because there's precedent for this. Like, this is the league. If you don't have the stats to get in, you're not in the league, but you still have 2 last chances to get to Worlds to show that you're on the radar. It's not great, but it's not the word because the last chance qualifier saves it.
The way that I'm seeing it, if we're going to compare it to CrossFit, is every single person, regardless of how you did last year, still has to do the CrossFit Open to even get to the next stage, quarterfinals or semifinals, to earn a spot. Mm-hmm. They're basically telling some people, well, you're not even allowed to compete in the Open unless you get this crazy time on a course by this date. Otherwise, you're not even going to be able to compete in the Open for the right to qualify later. That's what it sort of seems like.
So what would your fix to this be? If you got to white out the rule book, what would you do?
Bigger fields.
I was going to say have 2 heats, 30 people. If you're one of the fastest 3 that day, even if Rich isn't in the top 15, he still gets to face people 16 through 30, or, say Rylan or Anas, or you just have a bunch of people show up who can do work. And then they're all in that heat 2 in Chicago. You at least are giving them the opportunity to earn a time for a future major at that point, rather than just getting shut out first of the year. And then it gets progressively harder as more automatic spots are filled throughout the season.
What would the reply then be to you're going to be faster winning heat 2 than losing heat 1? Like if you were in heat 1 and you run for the win, you could blow up and die rather than I'm just going to run my best time. Do you run to stay in the series, or do you run? Would it be better to have 1 big heat of 20 or 2 of 15?
If you're in heat 2 and you beat Meg or Lauren, or someone who's been a world champion, you're going to take down several really, really good athletes time wise. Some of them might even end up making the Elite 15 again, solely due to time because they didn't get a top 5 in a major at some point. I think you just showed you're one of the fastest on the entire year at that point if you run it from heat 2.
So they get shuffled to slow heat in the next major? Anyone you beat? Like if you displace someone, they get bumped
does 15 back? Become 16? Yeah, you can sign up. I don't care who's in heat. You can have 5 heats for all I care. I think it should be time-based for that day. Just allow people the opportunity to race to prove that they have a chance of being there.
So what if you run 53 in that race and should have won outright? Do you get that, or is it just that you're there for a future bid?
No, I think you get that.
You get it. You ran a 53 under the same conditions. As long as they don't, it's the same exact weight, same exact course. You're running within like 5 minutes of that heat ahead of you. You were the fastest person on the day. Why shouldn't you get a spot?
So you're going to have a live streamed race where the winner doesn't win. They're not going to live stream the second wave.
We've seen in track and field, people in the slow heat, they do a tactical race for the 1500 or the 5K or the 10K, whatever. Sometimes you don't see people
like in conference meets or something like that.
Yeah, but we're talking live stream championship style. At Worlds, you can't win from the slow heat. At Pan Am, you can't win from the slow heat. At USA Championships, you can't win from the slow heat.
Because they allow you to race your way to get to the final. They don't split.
Right. I'm saying it's a bad optic. You're trying to sell the sport and you're showing a live stream and you're not that it's going to happen, but the possibility that the people you show crossing the finish line don't make the podium. Does that not matter? Does anyone stick around for the podium ceremony anyway?
The way that they're saying they're going to cover these races, it's going to be similar to what we saw at Worlds with that high end
Grid
production.
style.
Yeah, grid style. So yes, that looks bad, and that's definitely why they don't want to do that, right? Like, and I think that's just a byproduct of their view of how they want this sport to show up. And again, same thing. It's not about finding the best to them. It's about presenting yourself in a specific light. So yeah, using the grid system kind of screws up bigger fields, and it screws up allowing other athletes to participate. So another option would be like, yeah, just live stream, call it like, don't live stream Chicago and Vienna and make those open.
So one question, one statement. The question would be, what if you just had, I guess the question is, how many could you have in one heat and still make it a palatable race, both to the viewers and to the athletes? Grid style, how many can you handle?
In terms of palatability, I mean, I think it could be unlimited. You only catch the.
What about flow for the athletes of the course?
I mean, the 30.
So yeah, if you're only running that heat and you're not dealing with open waivers, I don't think it's an issue. Just have enough machines. They do it with CrossFit games. Some heats have 40, and it's
we've been in Hyrox has heats of that size,
right? But they're not ever on equal playing field, so they don't have to worry about running. They stretch out in the first 100 meters of the run.
That's true.
So then the fix to this is you have 2 heats of 15, and the slow heat goes first, so that the championship wave, when the live stream starts, has here's the time to beat set earlier in the day, as long as they cross the line ahead of it. And then you have the 3 people with the 3 fastest times sitting there that you can go to on camera as they're at the finish line watching the clock. That's an easy fix.
That's fine. Yeah, that's a good solution. I mean, you were complaining about the optics, and it might not look good if someone's just dying on the sledge from heat 2 and then you see Hunter roll up and just blow by them or something. But I think that that's a very easy fix. You have on the screen like times to beat. These are the top 3. Someone's going to do it eventually.
Yeah, put men out 60 seconds later, or 2 minutes later, put the women out 3 minutes later. I suppose there have to be at least 3, and then stagger it 10, 15 minutes and then do the championship.
I mean, if you're looking at the list of fringe athletes, does anyone stick out to you who has the ability to end up getting top 3 or one of these races, or
Rich
top
Ryan,
5 roll down?
Seb Conrad, Marcus Wallace.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Who shows up? These Australian athletes. Australia is going to definitely get the shaft on this one, but I think like it's their first year.
Yeah,
we don't know what kind of athletes they are going to bring.
We got to jump you in.
Yeah, so it's just not a great year for them, and they'll have to focus most of their season around this last chance qualifier, which I believe is open. There's no money to it. It's not grid.
Oh, last chance doesn't have the 21,000 per gender.
I don't know. I don't think so, because they don't want athletes coming to.
You're not even allowed to.
I don't think you can. I think if you have a world championship qualifier, you're not even allowed.
You're not allowed.
Gotcha. That's
great.
fair.
Yeah, like cool, good.
Then it's just simply head to head at that race. Time doesn't matter. You could have a bunch of 70-minute people show up, and if they're top 2, they're getting in.
And I'm going to be there pulling a machine off at every station.
You can't. You're out. You started off too slow. Hit the bricks.
I have a Hyrox employee shirt. I'm going to throw that on, and I'm going to start removing stations.
I can have a staff shirt. Yeah,
I'll get a pass for you. You'll be out there. I like it.
Yeah.
So if you're an athlete, say, we're just going to use Marcus for the example on a lot of this, right? Like looking at this, like probably not going to fly overseas, has a family, has an brick and mortar business he needs to be at. Seems like a lot to go overseas to try to get into his first Chicago race.
Not even the best in his own town.
He's easily the greatest hybrid athlete the greater Milwaukee area has ever seen, stealing chains. And then by the time DC comes around, there could already be 9 auto qualifiers that have
many of whom are not from the US.
And there might be a couple, many of whom are not from the US. And then there might also be some Spanish courses or some Polish courses, or this course in Dubai, like these courses in Hong Kong. Like there's going to be new courses with new equipment that are going to not line up with what we have here. Do you just look at Germany and you're like, all right, like this is my only A race of the season. Like this is my best shot. I have to be as prepared as possible for this.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's just what you have to do.
Yeah.
Big risk.
And it's not ideal, but it's what you have to do in most sports. Like you don't get a ton of breaks. You got to pick your spot, throw all the chips in and go at it. I'm not saying it's the best system, but someone's got to be the odd man out. No matter what we do, there's going to be the odd man out. And at least they have a thing that they can mark on their calendar and say, I can get in here, I can be fit, and then I only have to peak one time. I do that, I reset, and World Championships is right there if I qualify.
Is it any different than road marathon trying to get the Olympic trial qualifier? Everyone just goes to Houston at the end of January, right before the Olympic trials, because that's kind of your time to do it. You have to meet the cutoff. You know, it's going to be cool and fast. And you're like, I don't care. Rest of the year, I just need one time in the previous 12 or 18 months, whatever it is, for the world or for the Olympic trials qualifying time for the marathon. And they just put all their eggs in that basket. You see a ton of people end up breaking 2:15 or 2:16, whatever the cutoff is for the guys.
CIM.
Yeah, see it in Sacramento. Yep.
So from that perspective, I love that there's no time qualifiers any longer. Like the times are still going to linger and it's still going to probably be a problem for getting people into these races. But the auto qualifier, the legacy bids and auto qualifiers will push those times further down. So it's going to be less of a problem for sure.
There's no time qualifiers for the 15 at the World Championship, but there are time qualifiers for getting the opportunity to race into the races that will allow you to get into the World Championship. So it's kind of a gated system to get the right to do that. That's the only thing that I have the issue with. I think that if they expanded it to 2-3 heats, whatever, you are allowed to be at Chicago, even if you're not in heat 1 and you run fast enough, then you're allowed to do it. Wouldn't have any problems with this entire system. It's just the fact that they remove time qualifiers, which is great, but they're also using them to prevent people from getting through with the non-time based system.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And I mean, maybe that's what they want, but it's probably just an easy way because, like, realistically, what it should be is kind of taking a little bit of what Magita's system is, and it's like Chicago is a qualifier to get into DC, and you race in like the top 10 or something like that, make it, and then there's a last chance qualifier, say it's LA or something like that, to fill it in. I don't know. And same with Stockholm. Stockholm's a way to race your way in to Vienna. But the system is about as good as we could truly ask for.
And it allows that the prize money complicates things.
Yes.
Before I heard about the prize money, I thought this allows for people to kind of like rep their squad. If Ryan Kent has a qualifier, he can opt out and say, listen, I'm not going to go race. I'm going to let Rich go race. Like you could have spots in. I'm not going to declare because Rich needs to get into the field and then he can qualify on from there. So you could have people be like, I have mine. I'm not going to show up because if I show up, I take the spot of a Marcus who's not going to get into the race. So, but the prize money complicates that.
I know.
So when I talked about the Performance Institute, where anyone could show up at any time and just put a time down, you could have a version of that at these races. You could declare beforehand, I'm going for a qualifier, and you could run open. Who cares? But they just like, all right, here's your judge. He's putting your weight on the sled. You're going to be in lane 3 for this. At the start line, you're like, hey, everyone, lane 3 is taken. And you just put a cone by it. And he's running lane 3 today, and it's his qualifier. You're going to have to weave through more people on course. But outside of the sleds, the farmer's carry, the lunges, and the wall balls, like everything else is the same. And all you have to do is your judge is there waiting and saying, this is yours. You could go put up a qualifier at any race you wanted in theory.
Right.
What do you think if you're Meg or Lauren or, one of the highest level or someone who's won a world championship or a regional
Hunter.
championship? Yeah. Hunter. Are you racing every single opportunity to make big money like this?
Yep.
I mean, that's probably would be the only races that I would run. I probably wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, because you don't need to do
anything
another
local
one beforehand. Yeah.
No. Right. So it's like November, December, it's like 3 weeks, and then February, March, it's just like another 3 weeks.
Going to at least half.
It's pretty tight. Like if you were aiming for all 4, it'd be 4 races.
5 months.
Yeah, and I guess you would have May is usually the World Championship, which they did not announce. we're still working on that, right?
Still
Like
TBD.
where that's going to be.
It's
You
a
either show
mostly
up to
complete
half
system.
and rip, or you show up to all of them and you start working on tactics.
Right.
I'm going to chill
Learn
4
your
stations today.
opponents.
I'm just going to run on second place today. I'm going to set your sight as third place is enough money to cover my training expenses for the next 2 months. I'm going to let the top 2 go, and I'm just going to run with everyone else and then close. You'll see a lot of opportunities now for people just to race more because there's money.
Yeah. And if they're all grid, there's no real reason to not race grid.
Get grid experience.
Grid experience. Unless you are aiming for some kind of record or something. But
because they're not doing grid besides at those major races, right?
I believe that's the case.
Okay. So the rest of them can be 3.5 laps for all we know. And still,
we haven't said that. All of these races are grid this year.
I think
everything. Yeah. Did we mention that all last chance majors are all grid?
I don't believe last chance is. It might be.
They probably intend to do that.
But I mean, like you would need, if they're going to allow 50
I feel like if
people
there's
to
any
race,
direct pipeline into the World Championship, they're probably going to have the same layout. So it's apples to apples.
I would bet grid is not, just because of the.
You need to, like, if they're not putting money on and they're not live streaming, they wouldn't do the extra man hour and power of having to set it up and tear it down.
And it's going to be like in the middle of like a regular event, right? Like like to do grid, you have to like change everything. There can't be other races on the course. I would imagine that's the case. So what do we think? We're good. Anything else?
I'll give it a B+.
Bracken, A++.
I'm giving it an
gold
A.
Stickers, no plus.
No, because it still has the TBD of how does this actually work? Do we actually go calendar year? If it's actually calendar year, it probably goes down to a B+ to me, because there's one glaring flaw. But if they fix that, which they could easily do with one Instagram post to say,
no one's raced yet.
Right,
we're good.
Exactly.
Then yeah, they can make this statement still, and it gives it an A. Maybe even an A+ to me, because honestly, with what we thought the incremental, we were talking 3 years to pull this thing off when we were giving our best pitches for what it could be. This does 90% of what we wanted in year 1. To me, that's an A+ if the verbiage gets fixed on when is the qualifying window.
Yeah. So what would they have to do to change? Because they need to keep the calendar year piece for Chicago alone, just so people
rolling 12-month. That's the way to go.
Rolling 12.
Championship to championship.
Okay. So
it's different because Spartan and DECA, for instance, it's always late November, early December for championship. Or I guess Spartan used to be end of September, but it's always end of the year. It's so weird plopping in the middle in May or so when you have to deal with half of the year before and half of it this year. So that's why I think rolling 12. It's always going to be 12 months from date to date. So.
Yeah, the DJ Khaled after party signals the end of the season. The event ends and now it's next season. I think that's the easiest. So, I mean, like Mintra, I'll throw E-Rock. Who else? We have Christian, like everyone involved in this. David Magida. Good job. Like this was such a good step forward for the sport. If the sport survives and grows long-term, I think we'll look back as this was the year it became legitimate. This was the big leap forward, so I'm happy for them.
Right, and that they did listen, and they must understand the gravity in which they are like pulling higher athletes toward, and the expectations that athletes have of professionalism around sport. But because before it was like, it's just like this event, like we just picked the top 15. How hard is that? And we're like, it's ridiculously flawed, and it's clear you didn't spend too much time thinking about it. So like but now it's like this is thought through outside of that calendar year thing. So it would be, I'm okay with the calendar year so that all the Spanish times don't count from last year into this. But now if I'm going to Spain, I want that Spanish time to count. So would it be like, because that's, how would it be rolling calendar at the start of, no, because they can't retroactively move times back. Like, so how would they even do this?
So it was July 26th, 2022. Would that count as a mark if today was the world champ? Because that's a full year ago, but that's basically 2 seasons ago at this point, because you've already had a world championship and then some. But
it's a rolling schedule. Whenever world championship ends, it kicks off the next championship cycle.
But they need to have the the races before the championship last year to fill this first event because there's no U.S. races to get a qualifying time for Chicago. So they need to go backwards a little bit
or create a submission system.
Or yeah, I guess.
Like if we want to complicate it a lot, that.
Yeah.
For all of Spartan's flaws, their submission system has worked.
Yeah.
It may have allowed too many in by some people's standards. We've yet to have someone miss out. Oh, Rich, I thought those were pants. They're shorts.
Yeah, the shorts.
They get riding up, these real shorts do.
Yeah, them Hamahawks were out.
Yeah, your
out.
legs can't even fit in there anymore.
So again, the only
rumps.
residing issue is field size, really. It's just field size.
Field
size would solve all this.
That's why you just have to have 2 or 3 other heats available so people like Rich and others who are on the cusp have an opportunity to run it. Just let them have it. Go ahead. Don't make them go first, as you mentioned. You've answered the field size issue.
I'm way too old to be on the cusp. I can't be on the cusp anymore. That is just some shit that is not.
You haven't gone to Spain yet. You're not going to be on the cusp anymore.
That's a young person thing to be on the cusp.
Yeah.
Can't be on the cusp on the opposite side.
Nah.
But like, what's the okay? Last I'm gonna keep dwelling on this.
What's your grade? You haven't given one.
I need to figure out this last part.
Okay.
If they figure it out correctly, what is it?
Yes. Like, how do they?
You got a yes on your test.
Yes. No. If they figure that out, like, I think this is like probably a B+. I was gonna give it an A, but like
the East German judge is always
the first event in the United States being a major is just like, why
what else could they do?
I don't know. Like, well, give us 3 or 4 events before this to get a time. Like,
I mean, where are these events?
It could be LA. And then they could do Chicago in the spring. I don't know. Like, they could just push everything back. Like, March 2nd doesn't need to be like this definitive ender. It could be like in April. It could, even if they have it. Or what would be better if we had 2 majors or if we had 1 major and the last chance qualifier?
For us?
For us.
Yeah, I was going to say
last
US
chance
or
qualifier.
The world. Yeah.
Right.
Because we want to race our way in because we believe the times are skewed because the times are skewed, some of the legacy people already have spots that we don't think belong. Anyway, we want the qualifier.
There's no cap on how many people can be in the last chance qualifier. No cap.
There has to be a cap.
No, there's
you could have 100 people sign up for pro if they wanted to.
And I think they all can.
And then you could have someone just like, what was it, New York, where Jarrett Newby and the guy at David's gym, where you had people on the podium from 3 different heats.
Rick. Yeah.
You're going to want to be in the last heat
to know the time.
Well, they'll have to maybe not.
To know the time and have tired judges, you're going to want all those things on your side.
That's true.
Yeah. I do have one other scenario. Like, what are you doing if you're VJ, for instance, and you've never done this, but you want to go into it? What do you do? Are you just like, well, I'm never going to get a chance to race?
Right.
That's why I would love the ability to declare an attempt in the open field.
Yeah.
Keep 1 lane open in every heat with pro weight on it. And that's just your declaration lane. Someone could every heat go out and go after it. Rich is out of here. He hates it.
Yeah. He's so pissed.
You know what those look like now that they've worn like that? They look like old corduroy.
Get a look at that peach.
Yeah.
Are we talking about that again?
Made of corduroy?
Yeah, they look like old worn corduroy now on screen.
I know. These are like nice, a popular brand. Not 10,000. That's my mistake. I should be only wearing 10,000 all the time.
Yeah, this is the first time you've got up on a podcast and you're not representing.
At this point, you have to throw those in with every load of laundry you do and just wear them all the way out. And
just
then
hope that they turn completely brown.
Yeah.
Like kind of like a washed look. Yes. So last chance qualifier would make it if we had that, that'd be an A. But everybody wants that. Right?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of this as a school submission paper. If we're the teachers and Hyrox submitted this, they'd be expecting no worse than like a good B. Maybe if we like the idea, we'll give them an A. So I think that B+ A- range, that's totally fair if we're looking
As
at
a
the average.
teacher, I would highlight that section, send it back to them, and say, I need to see this fixed, and then I'll grade you.
It's that bad.
But you're sitting on just that one section because it's incomplete.
Wait, you give papers back to allow them to get a better grade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's an extension on your
School's
exam.
not about
No one else
tricking
got it.
students. It's about setting them up for the skills to do well in life, Rich.
No, it's
Just
about teaching memorization so that they can graduate on time.
exactly. Get them out of there. Send them out into the real world.
This is
No
why I left
critical
the
thinking
field.
skills.
'Cause that's what it
Memorizing.
is, right? Anyway, yeah, they're sitting on an A plus if they fix that thing. If not,
A
it moves them
plus.
down to a C.
I should have had
It's a
you as my
bit-
teacher.
It could be.
It's a big swing.
Well, is it that big of a deal, right? Like, so, okay, I'll just use myself as an example on this one. So if I go to Spain and I don't qualify in Chicago, and then I don't go to Stockholm because DECA, then my time resets at the end of the calendar year. I won't have an opportunity to do Vienna, and then I have to run something super fast before DC if there's even a race before that. We don't even know what it's looking like.
Yeah.
To get into DC
By mid-February. Yep.
Yeah.
Which highlights
That could be a disaster.
So right there,
that
you're
the
looking
calendar
Yeah.
serves no purpose.
I think that big gray area, the year gap calendar versus previous 12 months, that is like the big like X right on it. And then you've got a couple other things just not allowing people to have a chance at your heat 2. So it's like you go from an A to an A-, another flaw, A- to B+. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I don't know if anyone, maybe Makita knows the answer to this, because that needs to be like qualified a little bit. Like, what is, especially without
Message
knowing-
him. See if he can call in.
Oh, he'll make a call. He'll
right
be happy
now.
to.
See if we can bring
He'll
him on right now.
Oh yeah, okay.
Chris is like, nah.
I'll do it. All right. So, okay, that's the one thing. But other than that, yeah, B plus, not an A because of that kind of question mark, and maybe they have a plan in place. But I'm worried that they don't. They haven't thought about it. They don't know what the repercussions of that would be, and how hard it's going to be for athletes to then get into this last chance qualifier. Because if that's the case, do I wait to go overseas and
Till the spring?
like hope I get into the Chicago one and then make sure I get a fast time so I do get into DC? But even by then, like what? Like that could be like a 54 at that point.
Yeah.
If
If
I'm
you are
Hyrox-
ready to just rip a good time in a couple months, just go to Spain. You know what Spain has historically been like condition wise. I think that's your best shot currently for your situation.
If I'm Hyrox, though, I'm looking at this and going, this system guarantees that I have the best 5 to 10 people in the world at world championships.
Yeah.
I can guarantee I have a full 15-man field, which is all I want, and 15 women. All I want is that, and I want my superstars there. If I'm Hyrox, I don't care about the fringe athletes because they don't make or break the field. Outside of Chris Rogloski. Chris did. I'm saying that year, that was the only time where a fringe athlete who had to roll down in actually made the podium. Like we had Rich and Dylan outperform their seeds, but they didn't actually, from Hyrox's point of view, change their product that they put out to the masses because they weren't even on camera. It was a cool story for all of us afterwards, and our boys did great and we loved it, but they didn't appear on the broadcast, and so they didn't change the product. In Hyrox's mind here, we're starting to worry about the things that they could care less about because it doesn't change their product or their company because if they have Hunter there, if they have Kent, if they have Sandy, if they have Tobias, and if they have Rankovic, they're like, we don't care. We could take whichever other 10 people you want to put in there because it doesn't change to us what we care about for the product. So they've got an A+ in their mind right now.
So go ahead, Rich.
I was gonna say it's poor long-term planning. Right, you're going to discourage athletes who can be the next Hunter,
correct,
to be into this sport by making this barrier so freaking high that they'll get there in the first year and be like, okay, this is like impossible. I'm not going to go overseas for no money. I'm not going to stop doing what I'm currently doing to do this thing where it's like I don't even know how good I can be at this. And like we're seeing like Rylan, I don't think Rylan's going to do a Hyrox this year, and he basically kind of said this, like, well, they don't take care of us. They don't really show that they have any interest in listening to us. So I'm out for now.
Yeah. There's one other thing. So if you get first place in the first major or even third place, you are guaranteed to be able to participate, assuming they have the same exact system next year. If you get third place in Chicago this year, you can compete in the first major no matter what. Next year, you're getting an automatic spot.
I would doubt that
Okay.
because it was only the champion from the North
Only
American
okay,
Championship
say it's
last year.
first place. Whatever the is there a way that if you get first place at a major this year, you're guaranteed to get major next year, assuming they have the same system and use the same logic? Would that be what happens? Like if Magida gets to run in this one because he won Chicago last year, basically.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at it from pretend that you're not every single person is going to recover from pregnancy like Lauren Weeks. But if you have another situation where a woman does really well and then she has a baby and just her recovery doesn't allow her to get top 10 in the world at Hyrox World Championship somehow, does she get that spot? Say that she wants to race. She's like, yeah, I'm like kind of back, but I'm not going to turn this down. Everyone's getting money. Why not give it a shot? Does that, hurt the women's field, allowing a few new people to make their way in as well?
And it's what Rich said. It highlights the short-term this year vision approach to this rather than how do we ensure that 10 years from now, we still have our 5 to 10 favorites there, because these 5 to 10 favorites won't be around in 10 years. We need 5 to 10. Like there'll be a new Hunter. There'll be a new Ronk. There'll be a new Sandy, but we have to have them in the sport. And that's the impetus to entry right now. The barrier to entry is incredibly high right now to get into it. That's the single biggest flaw with all of this, is how do you get a VJ Jones into the sport? For all the issues with time-based qualification in the past, the one thing it's highlighting to us now is it used to be you come out, run fast, show potential, show up your weaknesses, run fast again, and you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's you have to be at one of these places and do well to get in. Your only chance is a last chance qualifier. Mm-hmm. So it's still a chance, but it's now you could fit it into your schedule if you were in a different sport before. Now it's you have 2 chances in your year. And if it doesn't fit, like, are you going to want to wait 7 months to go after something if you're not sure if it's your sport or not? It's just harder to get in.
Yep.
Yes, it's not good from that perspective. But like you said, they don't care. If they want their sport to be the sport now.
I think at the end of the day, Hyrox has rewritten their rules so that from now on they'll only need to be tweaked as opposed to overhauled, and that's a big win.
Yeah, agreed.
Our sports, OCR and hybrid, benefited greatly from once in a generation type people pre-existing ready and good for it when the sport appeared. OCR would not be what it was if not for Hobie Call. And I firmly believe that. And he was already really good at it when it appeared in Spartan race form in the US. Like when they finally had a competitive version and they were going to do something with it, he was weighted there as this great superstar. He was just waiting. He was already so good. Hobie in year 1 would still be a top 3 guy in the world right now if he translated. Hyrox had it with Hunter. And you also had it early on with what's his name, Lucas. And you had it with MK. Like you had people who are already good at this thing and attractive and good at speaking to the media. And in Hunter's case, dynamic in front of a camera. They just got really lucky with Hobie and Hunter that they were sitting here waiting. You just don't find people like that all the time. And you need to make it really easy for those people who exist out there to get in.
Right.
We don't really have documentation of what was going on in the early 1900s with, Dr. James Naismith and figuring out the rules of basketball and what tweaks they can make. But do you think that they had similar discussions like this? We're like, all right, guys, we're like 5 years in, we got to change a few things. And they introduced the 3-point shot eventually. And, they reinstated dunking after taking it away. Like there've always been major rule changes in various sports. But I guess the thing with other sports, you don't really have if you want to participate, if you're good enough, you can get a chance to do it, as opposed to the barrier to entry system that we're having here. And that's kind of the only big difference that I'm seeing versus other big sports and their growing pain.
You need superstars. Fringe sports need superstars.
Yeah.
You need Matt Frazier's, you need Rich Fronings, you need these people to grow the sport to people. Without a Hunter, Hyrox is not what it is. You need them. And they're so rare that you don't want to turn them away before they even get started.
Right. Did you know in basketball, you used to not be able to dribble? It was like flicker
only
ball.
Passing.
Mm-hmm.
Football, you couldn't pass at one point, right? It was only a running game for
Yeah, it took a congressional
Congress or
act
something, right? Yeah,
to be allowed to forward pass.
literally.
For in basketball, I think it was just some nerds at one of the Ivy League schools that like found a loophole. It's like, what if it's a self pass, like a dribble?
Yeah. Nerd.
All right,
Nerd.
we moving along.
Mhm.
Did you guys catch this enduro challenge? You guys look at this at all? And I was involved. I did it. I was talking about it, but it was a rogue challenge.
Is it the 3 machines?
3 machines, 2K ski, 2K row, 4K Concept 2 bike.
Not air bike, Concept 2 bike.
Concept 2 bike. It's like it's still a fan with a damper, but with a damper.
I've been on it. They have it in the warm up area for Hyrox, or if they have in the past.
They're great. I really enjoy them. So our guy Marcus Wallace ended up 5th, got under 20.
Under 20
20.
is so good.
So he was averaging like 140s.
Yeah, that's kind of what that. Yeah, but when you break that down, I have his splits somewhere.
Because
But
that's 640 times 3. That's 20. Oh my god, that's so fast.
Yeah.
it's truly nasty. And the 5th, the field that he got 5th against was like really, really good. Like the dude who won, his name's Jason Marshall. I follow him on Instagram.
Oh, I watched a ski erg video of him recently.
Yeah.
He averaged a 138 for half an hour in a row.
Yeah, like he does
Insane.
incredible stuff. Like
Yeah.
his social media is really not very good because it's mostly just like the monitor of the Concept 2. But you look at it and you're like, wait, hold on. Like,
Yeah.
but he was 1935. Jason Hopper, who could podium at the CrossFit Games this year, he was 1948. And then James Hall, as Eddie Hall's brother, who has the 1K ski and 1K row record, was 3rd.
Yeah, this is world-class performance.
World-class performance. And he was like 1953. Marcus was 1959.
With transitions. So he's really averaging like 137.
Probably.
Now he's got his setup where you can put them all back to back to back and go, but you still are going to have 10 seconds of transition.
Total, yeah. In and out of the bike, hopping it, getting in the rower and stuff. Like there's a little delay. We all know it, no matter how efficient you are.
I think you can do it in 10 to 12 seconds.
Yeah.
Without transition. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
6 times 2, basically. Yeah.
So first of all, I think that my constant bringing up of Marcus Wallace is coming off too much in jest. Like this proves how good he actually is. He's not just like a joke about he beat me. Like he is so good on the machines. And second of all, Matt Gross, who we had on our podcast, held 150 for a marathon.
Oof.
At 165 pounds. So it also goes to show how the true rowing and skiing masters, how far ahead of all of us they still are.
For sure.
How big is Marcus Wallace? I've never met him in person.
6'2"?
He's tall. He's probably 6'3".
Okay. 6'3", 210 maybe?
Okay, so he's a big guy.
Between 2 and 210.
So he's like hunter size?
He's leaner than that.
He's like perfectly distributed. You don't look at him and think he's a bodybuilder, but you just like he's the kind you bump into like, oh, he's thick.
He might be less than 210.
Because I was like, getting power like that, if he's our size, that's just I can't
like,
even fathom that.
Like Jared Newby.
Yeah.
Kind of a build like Jared.
Yeah, I would say that's very accurate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was probably the leanest out of all of it. He was 646 on the ski for the 2K, which
so
is
nasty.
like, yeah, it's like he's been under
141.5 for the average.
Which is really
most
good.
people would love to hit as a standalone.
That's way under my
as a
2K.
500. I'd like to.
Yeah, that's like
painful.
that's 15 seconds faster than my 2K PR. Then he was 642 on the row. I think that's like 10 seconds faster than my 2K PR. And then he was 624 on that bike. And the bike usually equates fairly well, but it's way easier to breathe on that thing than on the row and the ski. Like the numbers end up being similar. And when you double the distance, it can be kind of the same. But
You
finishing out that,
also.
yeah, finishing out
you can
that
only
event,
use one muscle group.
That's the thing. You can't, especially it ended up being more muscular.
Already.
Yeah,
and you just use
did all that
quads for 7
Yeah.
minutes in a row and hamstrings and core. Yeah, that's nasty.
It made me think that we're maybe not even grasping how good he's going to be at Hyrox. Like maybe he's not a fringe guy. Maybe he's a top 10 guy in the world.
Saying, yeah.
But it also shows that I really wish Assault had put this on instead. So we could have had a 2K run at the end on the manual runner. That would have really rounded out the the test.
Yeah, he would have won. Or
I'm
Dylan.
catching James
Rich,
Hall.
yeah.
I'm catching Jason Hopper. I'm
Mhm.
catching Jason Marsh. If it was like a 2K, something that or
If you're gonna
something
call
that
it
have to
enduro.
equate.
That's 7 minutes right there. If
Exactly.
you're going
Exactly. It
low
should,
5 pace, yeah.
it should equate out. It's a mile's not would be less than all the rest that they did.
No,
2K run. I needed
Yeah.
that. I would. Dylan beat me by 15 seconds. I would have caught him in, I don't know, 150 meters.
Yeah.
Probably.
but Dylan thought it was a marathon in each, so that's how he paced it.
Kept going.
Yeah.
He did 3 rounds.
That's still really impressive. I'm
There were
thinking if
some
I were Bracken,
really
what would you
good
do
people.
if you attempted that?
Well, I don't know, but what I was going to say is there's some really good people cracking 21. If you
Mhm.
crack 21, like you're doing really well. We
Mhm.
saw some 20, like teen and 30s. We're like, man, that's fast. My row PR is 6:56.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing well.
So you're doing 7:15 on the rower in the challenge at best,
I'm thinking
probably.
23 minutes.
Got the list up.
Oh my
No, you think
God.
so?
Colin, 2029.
Yeah,
I'm
Colin's
thinking
for-
22 to 20, 22, 30 to 23. I'm thinking.
I think you're
I'm
doing fine.
I'm thinking I could probably hold 152 on the ski erg. So we're looking at 730 plus 140, 147. I did like a 650 mid also. So yeah, probably 730 plus 715. So now I'm up to 1445, and I don't know the bike, but I'll say 7 minutes
A
if
little
he was
faster.
620.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm 21 and a half, 21,
Yeah.
40.
So give me
something like
22
that.
minutes. That would have been my goal. I'd try to hit 22.
Anthony Davis of the Lakers, just
So-
16th place.
So looking at Jack, you're gonna do the thing. We're just gonna start saying names, and
Sorry.
we got to keep it. This is an audio medium.
I know. I was gonna
You get
reference number
excited.
18 below
Nate,
him as a Philly
there's-
joke, but
There's numbers on the board.
I know.
Jack can't help it. Ivan Milan was the Deca Strong winner at the 45 to 49, and he is a monster.
See the ball guy?
No,
I'm
He's
thinking
the
of a
jacked guy.
that's
Jack.
he's
I'll look
not
him up.
he's not incredibly jacked. He's just
No, who am I
huge.
thinking of then?
The
The huge guy, right? Like human bowling ball.
He's really tall. He's probably 6'3",
Oh, I'm thinking of someone else then.
6'4". There was maybe Jared Lawrence. There was 2 or 3 guys, and they all have the same haircut in that age group category. Like Bruce Jackson was was always in that mix. He's like the bald jack dude, and I think Jared Lawrence, I believe is his name, also bald jack dude.
Yeah.
But Ivan is big. I think he's Ukrainian, and he trains with Bubble at a Bubbles gym, and he's just an animal. Like, and the way that he whips that tank around.
He was
yeah,
like 17 seconds, right? He can do the bike in teens or whatever.
maybe.
Yeah,
I
see.
bet it's pretty fast. But he's part of the community, which is great. Seeing 2 of the top 6 in the community. Colin Stiefert was 10. He was 2029. Not surprised to see that. We need to get Colin and Marcus in a Deca Strong.
Yes.
Colin's the better runner, right?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, so
No. Marcus, when we did our DECA, not that I'm the gold standard, but if you line Marcus and I up to run any distance, it would not be close at any distance. And I stopped taking significant chunks of time from him after 3 stations. And then on the last 2 stations, he held even or beat me, which again, I'm not the gold standard, but you can't be a bad runner and do that.
Right. And he says the greatest compliment I've ever given him was that I told him he does not run like a CrossFitter.
He told me that day.
See, and it's
He
true.
got it on his wall. He painted it.
He's like, all right, we're making progress. So he ran track and
He's a 400 guy.
He's a 400 guy. He's a good athlete. He played football in college.
he
So
breaks 60.
I believe he broke 60.
Okay,
I believe he
good.
broke 50.
I don't know if he was quite that fast.
I thought he's a 49 or 50 point.
I'm not sure. Maybe
got wheels.
split. Maybe split. He's got wheels. He can run, and he looks like he can run. But yeah, if we see them both in a strong, because Marcus is athletic too, so
Mhm.
they're gonna be a problem. Anthony Davis, your Lakers joke. He's actually a very high level CrossFitter. He's like the strongest CrossFitter in any field. I think he has him or Tolo have the record for the biggest lift in an event. He's
Really?
just really big. Like, so these bigger, longer events actually hold him up.
Yeah.
And then as we get, I forgot to submit my score once I realized I didn't win. So I was like,
Rich, if you go back real quick, the reason I was mentioning Anthony Davis real quick is because right below him was Ben Simmons. So I was like, it looks like he got the better of him. I was
You
trying
have
to
to
throw a
shoot.
Philly jab right there for you.
that guy. This Ben Simmons is not spelled the same.
I'm aware.
I like
was
this.
trying to make a Philly joke on your behalf.
That ain't funny. We don't
Lame.
talk about
All right, go.
We don't talk about Ben Simmons in jest. It just gives anger. And now I'm pissed off in the middle of this Tuesday. Zach Vogel's part of the community.
Monster.
Austin Tennisoff is also part of the community.
He's sub 12 Deca strong. So
yeah, he's a big dude. And then I would have been 30th, I think. Yeah.
Okay,
right.
so my 21 and a half estimate is
28.
probably a little fast then.
I'd have been 29th, but Dylan didn't have his score, and his bum ass probably didn't even register. I did register. I just didn't put my name on this board.
That puts my 22-30 prediction as more accurate.
Yeah.
I'm not within 30 seconds of you on this test.
I'm not an animal on these machines. I am serviceable. I'm good for how well I can run, but I'm not going to win anything on machines.
You're the most compact skier I've ever seen in my life.
I'm changing it up. I got form changes happening.
How'd the women do?
Marcus is the highest mortal on that list, and it's not even close.
And he might not even be that. That's Deebo. Oh, and we got to mention he snatched Dylan Scott's chain at a Deca mile.
That's right.
18 low.
18 low. Dylan was 1840 something.
Yeah.
So we got Vivian top 5. Vivian Tafuto's out here.
I'm not surprised. She's a monster on the machines.
She's a beast, and she's no problem working hard. And if you're interested in working hard often, the machines are a good place for you. But look at some of these names. She should be Emily Rolfe. She'll be at the CrossFit Games.
She's been at the games, yeah.
She could win. Oh yeah, we got to talk about that too. She could win this 5K that's happening in the CrossFit Games. Andrea Nisler, she's part of Mayhem and now Proven Athletics. They are probably the favorite to win. She's like the best athlete on that.
Yeah. Jessica Toll, she's in Dubai and she's won several Spartan races.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's done stadium races and stuff, so I'm not surprised she's good at the machines, but I had no idea she was that good when you get to see first Vivian's times.
Yeah, so Vivian, I think she's probably really the only one that we're going to recognize here. She said this woman is the Kristen Klein is the 2K ski record holder, and 22 flat for a female.
Help. Yeah.
I wonder if Lucy Campbell's also she's a CrossFit.
I was gonna say Lucy Campbell sounds like a CrossFit name that I remember.
She made the games this year. Yeah, she'll be in Madison.
Yeah.
What do we think about that 5K on the CrossFit side? Oh, also, I actually recorded a podcast with the CrossFit team over here in Denver, CrossFit Omnia, with a little CrossFit draft. So that'll be coming out sometime later on. But what do you guys think about this 5K situation? They're doing a cross country 5K is what they said.
I think I think it's great, but I don't think it's actually going to be a true 5K if some of the times are skeptical. I'm a little doubtful on the course.
If they do it on the cross country, if they use the Madison cross country course, it's pre-existing and everything's marked.
They should. Yeah.
Everything's pre-existing there. Like it'd be hard to run shorter. It's ringed by trees the whole way through. So like the path is the path. It's a permanent course.
And they have a 5K, I'm guessing. Do they run high school there?
They have to. They have an 8K and a 10K.
Right. And they have to have a 6K because they run female.
For women. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's got to be
10K is just a double 5K if they want to do.
That's true.
And I don't think that's
but
how their 10 works. No.
Yeah.
8K with an extension.
Yeah. Do you think anyone's going to break 18?
No.
Okay.
No,
Because I saw people on some thread and they're like, oh yeah, these guys are going to average like 5-minute miles. I'm like, you don't have a clue what cross country is going to do to you versus on a track. And they're not even that fast on a track.
They're not that fast on a track either.
Yeah.
But if they were part of the OCR community, you guys would be like, yeah, probably. They'd be like, they're definitely getting under 18.
Do you think
I don't think Isaiah would do it.
Anyone who qualifies for the games who could break 18 on a track?
I don't. Fresh, like that's their thing that they're doing that day. No,
I don't think so.
Nope,
I don't think so.
Sea level 55 degrees, pacer. Nope, still not happening.
Wave light in Monaco.
Yeah, draft car.
Draft car. No.
Interchangeable draft crew. Yeah.
What are
They
what
can
is
only
18
draft from the well, I guess they're the same height, but they're only going to draft the middle third of their body.
Yeah, that's fine for them. What does that look like? What is 18-minute 5K?
550
548.
ish.
Oh yeah. No,
Is that what
there's
it is?
They're not doing 1836 is 6 flat. So I do not think that's happening.
Let's see if my VDOT calculator is correct.
548. Their VDOT
Oh my
would be
goodness.
Their VDOT would be 56.3. But if you're 5'8", 200 pounds, your VDOT is probably a little bit better than that.
It's like
But
88
yeah.
to go sub 18 there.
So like, yeah, this is an event. They don't really do things like this that often where there can be apples to apples, because I don't think that they want like runners to be like, these guys stink. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're putting this out there. I'm glad that it's going to be something. And I hope that it does stay that. I hope it's not loaded. I hope it's not like a 5K ruck, because then that's just like, it would be just like even more boring.
Here's what I
you-
want. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say,
Nava.
you could make a trip there and do a little scouting for us.
We could, but we have Kirk's wedding.
I know that, but you
this
could
will-
do it the day before. They start on Thursday. The
They
wedding's
start
on
on,
Saturday.
yeah, they start on like Tuesday. They start.
Yeah.
When's the
or
when's
no,
the 5K?
Thursday. I think it's the second day.
Oh, yeah,
Friday.
we could do that.
We could do it.
Change my
I
flight.
might offer my pacing services.
Get out there. You could take your services, like you could. How could we make this eliminator style? Maybe just like tackle the guys off the way that you would do for Hyrox,
have the
last chance qualifier.
have the gladiators or whatever from Spartan Race the old days. Just beat them with the stick.
Like a tiger pit, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So if you took the best runners in the world at the 5K distance and you loaded them down like a racehorse and you added ballast to them, let's say in form of a weight vest, to equal the weight of the CrossFitters, and you ran a cross country meet, how does it finish?
So
I don't think they're used to it.
let's say,
Well, no,
so
of course
that
they're
would,
not.
That would be like 60 to 70 pounds of weight on these guys.
60 to 80 pounds of weight. Could they run 5:48 pace with 60 to 80 pounds on? The answer would be no, right?
I don't think so.
I thought Hobie used to do a 40-pound weight vest, and so he'd probably be like 5'8", 5'9", 180. So still a little below.
He
but
ran
there
like
are-
1744
Yeah.
with a 40-pound vest.
Yeah. So
And that's an OCR guy.
So no, it's not even close. So if
No.
you did half, if you split the difference in half, they still couldn't do it, could they?
I don't think so.
Where's the break even? How much, if you gave them 20-pound vests, is that the break even point versus CrossFitters?
I think they
Team
win with it.
CrossFit versus Team US
I think
5K runners?
I think 20 pounds they can manage.
I
Depend,
think
give them a nice like a hyperwear vest.
Yeah.
That'll be all right.
you give like some 800 runners a weight vest, it's not going to impact them as much. But you do it to some string bean out there, they're going to be in trouble.
That's a good point. The 800-meter runners would beat them in the 5K.
Yeah.
But maybe not the 10K guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Let Faith Kipyegon. Let's see. Good luck now. Let's see you win.
What's going on here with these women's times? Are we
407.
7?
Is this too
Or-
ridiculous?
Has she had the best single track season that you can imagine or remember? 1500 mile is basically the same, but also the 5K, and not just beating it, like skipping 411, 410, 409, 408, going right into 407. This event has been run for a long time. That's an absurd record.
We haven't seen an outlier performance like this since the Chinese runners who were
We
all
know how that turned out.
post-banned, right? And then a few Belarusian or a few like the 800. We haven't seen an outlier world record to this percentage other than maybe Courtney Dauwalter's Western States,
Right. Which like you just extend it long enough.
which actually was just a return to the mean, because there's a great breakdown on Let's Run about it that her percentage of difference from the men was like 9%, and it averages right around 9% of every single distance, 100 through marathon, men to women. So she actually was the first one to bring it back towards an even distribution at the 100-mile distance with Jim Walmsley's course record.
Oh, you're talking
So-
Courtney. How close is this is Faith Kipyegon's record percentage wise?
Or wait,
Jack, you got this?
I'll do it. Keep talking.
43 is the mile.
Yep. 0.13.
We were
Just
supposed to
keep talking. It's going to take a
we
second.
were supposed to keep talking here, and I just completely stopped.
I give you 5:48 pace like that. What's taking Jack so long?
I also had
Because
the
I need to
548
find my
pace up there.
calculator.
Time calculator.
Yeah.
You said 5:50, which is equally good, but worse.
I didn't say anything until I brought up the VDOT calculator. I don't say shit.
All right.
until
We're
I bring
at
it up.
9.8%. So
Okay.
So it's a return to form.
So it was
Well, it's
just
also the mile.
return to form. It's been around for 20 years. So
It's the mile, though.
yeah.
No, I'm saying a return back down to that
Yeah.
percentage. If it was the 1,500 dropping by that much, it would have been more suspect. But the fact that it's the mile, how many non-Americans run more than 0.5 total miles per year over the course of their pro career? Like, you probably run one every other year, maybe indoor, as a European woman or as an African woman. You just don't run it.
right. This is like
But
when the Jakob breaking the 2 mile, right? It's like,
Or
whoa,
the
this record
2K
was so
record
old.
that he's going after.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It's like, well,
He's
yeah,
doing
I
that,
mean, like,
yeah.
you just nobody really runs it. So that's a fair point, Bracken. That what
But
would
if
this,
you do the 1.08 factor to her 1,500 time, it's within like a few tenths. So it's basically the equivalent of her. She broke 350, right?
But that's
On the
she ran 350, or is it 349?
it was one of the two. I asked Kirk if it was faster than his PR, and
I
he's
thought it was
like, "She got
350.
me."
Either way, I don't care. Like, we look at it and say, oh, it's just the same as her 1,500 world record. That's even crazier.
Yeah.
She ran her world record PR twice in a month. Like, when does that happen? People they pop their 1,500
Swimming.
or their 5K, and then they may never touch it again. She ran it twice in 4 weeks.
349.11.
349.11.
That is so disgusting.
Have we ever had someone equal their world record twice in that time frame in a distance or mid-distance event? 400 hurdles has happened. But
You've seen it in like pole
Maybe.
vault and high jump, but not.
but distance running, we've never seen that.
Oh no, we don't see like records being broken in succession too often.
Sydney McLaughlin, but that's not distance.
That's hurdles,
yeah.
Or hurdles.
Huh?
It's
just
also
so hard to do.
Yeah, it's also a long event, and the recovery time from putting out a massive effort like that, I don't think that you won't see 10K broken like 4 times in a season. You just don't run it that often.
It also means she can run faster if she ran the same time twice, basically.
Yeah.
Was this wave light in the whole deal?
She was ahead of it. She had good pacers. They went through in 204 flat and right there. And then she was on her own after just over 800. It was like 900 or so. And she was on her own.
Nikki Hilt set the U.S. record.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And Cranny just missed it, right? Was that Cranny tenths behind
If Nikki
her?
wasn't in there, then Elise would have had it.
Oh, wow. Damn.
They both ran 4:16.
Yeah.
And then Laura Muir.
There were like 7 national records set in that race. Ireland, there was some woman who ran a 4:14, which would have been top 5 all time. Had Kipia, it might still be actually, because
Men and women Irish records fell in the same meet.
Yeah,
or the same week.
13:01 for 5K
and the 15 or the mile.
Oh, really? Yeah. No, track's in a crazy spot. Did you also hear in swimming that Michael Phelps, the last of his world record, is gone? It's just so crazy how sports develop over time, and just they always say records are meant to be broken, and you look at it and you're like, oh well, the 400-meter hurdles record for men and women had been around for 20 plus years. Kevin Young, and now suddenly you have 3 people who are taking it down almost every single time they step on the track. It's just crazy what people can do. And the swimming one that I was referring to, there's no wave light there. That's just going faster.
When you even that, like looking at NCAAs, when watching that, when it pulls up the meet records or the collegiate records, they're all like in the last 5 years or something. I mean, and that's hyperbole, but they're all more recent than I would think.
Swimming needs wave light. Not needs, but they're the next candidate for it. That'd be so helpful to them.
Shine it on the bottom.
Can you? Yeah,
LED
exactly.
strip on the bottom.
That's
not difficult.
They basically superimpose it anyway. It's no different than putting a first down line for football broadcast.
Am I jaded because we lived through some of these eras where everybody was dirty, that I'm like, is it like, are we sure? Like,
Makes you wonder.
It's the first thing I think of almost every time.
Just logically, if the greatest to ever do it was caught doping and you beat them, you're
Right,
either the
right.
best specimen the universe has ever created, or you're also. And maybe you're both. It's just the odds are astronomically small that you can beat the best people who were cheating at
Do you
all,
think that?
let
Do you
alone
think that
even if
about
you're not
CrossFit
doping.
and other sports?
I don't think CrossFit's ever been clean.
Yeah.
It would make sense. I mean, it's new, so we don't know exactly where the sport could go. But just the
It's
way that
made
they
up of
train,
doping sports.
if they had influence from the outside sports, it makes
It's like
sense.
OCR. What
Yeah.
comprises OCR? Runners. We've had a few bikers. We've had CrossFitters. We've had gym bros. Those are dope sports.
Very.
Like
Yeah.
people didn't start for the sport; they're already doing it, and then they came over.
They're
So yeah,
all
I think I'm
dope
very
sports.
jaded on doping, but like logically, it would be harder to find a clean world record than it would to find a dirty one.
They always have those on message boards and stuff. You mentioned Let's Run, but they're like, "What's the fastest clean world record for the or time for this event?" And
I
it's
hate
so
those.
hard.
How can that's stupid? Like it's just then that's just personal. Like I hope that this person wasn't doping,
Yeah.
and I think these other people are doping.
Yeah.
That's a terrible conversation.
Yeah. What's your name? Tori Asuma, or what? The woman who set the 100-meter hurdles record last year, just dominated everybody. She said it in the prelims. She ran like a 12.2. She just got busted for whereabouts failures.
Yeah. One of the things they point to oftentimes is like a trajectory that looks like this, like big highs, big lows, and they'll be like, no, this person's been steady for 3 years. I always think it's the opposite. Like if you're dominant at everything you've done for 3 years, that's almost more an indication that you're using than less. Like normal people have off days or injuries or bad training cycles. So I know there's no way to predict it. Half the world thinks that if you never have a bad race, it's because that's how good you actually are. But if you have a great race out of nowhere, or you've had great races and then a really bad one suddenly, that you're dope. It's like there is no prediction.
Yeah.
Just that statistics say if you set a world record, you're more than likely doping.
One of my friends from college, he lives up in Boulder right now, and he's a semi-pro cyclist. And he said that microdosing is or microdoping is the big issue.
Microdoping, nice.
Yeah,
it's like a great idea. So you just don't get caught.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Gets out of your system.
He says that they'll go to stage races and everyone's in a hotel and you just have 50 cyclists in various rooms and stuff, and you'll just walk down in the middle of the hall in the middle of the night, and you'll just hear the bike, just people in their room just pedaling just to get it out of their system a little bit. And what's it, the hematocrit, or there's something in your blood that if you exercise, it'll help dilute it. I don't know the exact science behind it, but he said that basically during the middle of the night you'll just hear people cycling just to get it out of their system, and they're just taking small microdoses just to get enough of an edge. But it's common even in the amateur level.
Yeah, the WADA can't show up at your house prior to 6 a.m., I believe, and after 9 p.m. And so if you have a scientist in charge of it, or someone who knows their stuff, you just have to have something with a glow time of
9
less
hours
than those windows. You take it at 9:01 and it's out of your system by 5 in the morning, and it gives you a 60-minute window for variance. And it's just a scientific numbers game. There's no guesswork to it. So microdosing has been everything for the last decade or so, maybe more, but it's easy.
Are people developing? I wish I knew more about doping, and maybe this was just me. This would be a great way for me to play dumb and be like, yeah, don't know anything about it. I just would never even do it. Don't even know nothing, but I really don't know anything. But are people developing these type of performance enhancing drugs, or are they just being like discovered of already existing like drugs that are out there that do a certain thing to help improve, like you said, blood volume or whatever?
Testing is always behind the drugs being out there. I thought that that's the reason why like Balco and a lot of the baseball issues and stuff, it took forever to find out that the cream and the clear even existed and stuff, until you did the raid to find out that they were around. And
you can only test for what you know. It's not like a sci-fi device where it scans for foreign substances. It's like a template, and it goes over it like a Scantron. And if it fits into there, it clicks. And if it doesn't show up. And so they just change the end of a tail of a branch chain, something, and it doesn't show up. But yeah, most of it starts as medical application. And then they find out that it also has athletic application. And then it starts from there. Almost all of it stems from the medical world.
Right.
Like blood doping comes from, it's part of it's cure for malaria, and part of it's for a lot of bloodborne disease and illnesses. And there's a whole lot of reasons that why people can have these. This is why you can get them in a pharmacy. That's where most people get it from, is from pharmacies.
Isn't that similar, like how beets became really popular because they're vasodilators? They didn't really know what vasodilators were until they found out stuff about like Viagra and stuff. And they're like, wait, we can apply this to the whole body and make your bloodstream be more efficient and stuff. So
yeah, so most people get it from a script from a doctor friend, or from a doctor who, for something under the table, will write you the prescription, or you go to a place where prescriptions aren't required for pharmacies. So a lot of people will just cross into Mexico and get EPO at a pharmacy.
Right.
Or places like Africa carries EPO for malaria usage and other things like that in your pharmacies. And that's where it's like, it's not hard to source
for malaria.
It's not expensive. That was one of the leading causes for it. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
This was my college thesis.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
I'm fascinated by it. Yeah.
And so they're not necessarily so I'm going to pepper you with questions. You got to defend this thesis. What was
we're talking decades ago now, but
what was the thesis? What was your?
It was the use of performance enhancing drugs in sports.
So way more exciting than mine.
It might. I didn't even have to do something.
I was in the School of Education, so they didn't really understand it. But I'm like, if I got to write all this, I'm doing it on something I'm interested in.
I took some education courses, and they were basically like, "Hey, you showed up, you gave your opinion. Here you go. You passed." So it's more of a dosing. Like they figure out how to dose it appropriately to not get caught, more than we're developing new things that are specifically. It's both. Who's developing this stuff? Like, how could you? Like,
well, for example, Dr. Ferrari, who was Lance Armstrong's guy, because he had a legitimate practice, but they just had a practice designed around fine tuning these existing drugs to make them more potent or to avoid. And that's what Balco is.
What was his actual job though?
He was a doctor,
and then on the side, he just like
he was also a cycling coach. And then the two worlds collided. Balco was all about creating synthetic versions of things. And then the big thing they've talked about is if you take an existing formula and you tweak one piece of it, and if you tweak the right piece, it doesn't trigger the test. So it's just like, if you can add extra ions places, or again, change the branch on the amino acid chain, if you can change the tail of little pieces, it doesn't trigger it anymore.
So if like Rich's shirt right there, he's got Hyrox written up there. If it's the same exact shirt and you remove that X and they're trying to see, is that the same shirt? And all it is missing that one tiny little X, then it looks the same pretty much. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Or if it says Hyroy.
Yeah.
Or the X has a longer,
right.
Yeah. If you change it enough, the effectiveness is all still there.
It's still going to function as a shirt, but it won't be.
But the test won't recognize it as a shirt.
So what the biological passport is designed to do is take as soon as they know who you are, they get a panel on you, and they have basically your biological fingerprint. And then it doesn't matter what you take, they measure change from baseline.
Deviation from there.
So that's what the biological passport failure is, but they almost never catch people with that. If you notice, it's always something test positive. They almost never have a biological passport failure, because if you are taking it while you get your passport, your levels are your levels.
Right.
So what people get caught for the most part are masking agents.
Yeah.
That's diuretics or things that counter it. That's why it's like guys will test positive for
pregnancy
birth
drugs.
Control or different things. And they're like, oh, it's just a tainted supplement, because all of them have a legitimate excuse for why it could be there. But its also main purpose is to counteract some sort of chemical imbalance in your body, or as a diuretic or something that will mask or dilute what you're doing to change the half-life.
Yeah. Manny Ramirez, he tested positive for being pregnant one time, and it's like, don't think that's the case. So clearly a masking agent. But have you ever seen that the documentary Icarus?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that, Rich?
I have.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that anybody who's listening, if you want to just see the crazy underground world of doping, even on like the amateur side, it's insane.
It's hard to talk about it without being labeled as, oh, you're just like making excuses or you're an alarmist, but it's alarming how easy it is and how many people use it. It meaning anything. Like walk into your local gym and people just talk openly about it in the locker room.
Right. Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but so these records might be legit. I mean, there's that super spikes and wave light.
For sure. It could be.
It could be.
Could be.
407's real fast.
Everyone else is just also super fast these days. Like,
but with everything,
I don't know,
just
high
said,
schoolers, they're putting out ridiculous times.
that is true.
We're just getting used to faster times, and I guess it comes with the territory a little bit. But you've got to ask yourself the questions when stuff
and
like this is happening.
We're just old now. If we were 22 and this is happening, like, oh well, that was not that far off from what the records that I knew of before.
Yeah.
We're just old people.
I looked at the meet results from when Faith Kipyegon set her mile record. Do you want to guess how many athletes born between or before 1993 there were in the entire meet?
Is this trivia?
This isn't really trivia. Oh, I forgot this week.
You don't have trivia as a second week?
I don't have trivia this week.
That was my next segment.
I'm gonna say 11.
I didn't even listen to the question because I was so
basically how many athletes under the age of 30 or over the age of 30 were there at the meet when
the entire meet?
Diamond League meet. Yeah.
Over the age of 30? 7.
Bragging?
I say 11.
There were only 4. And I'm like, that's scary. And one of them was a sprinter. Most of them were just throwers. And it's like, damn, that's not good for all of us in our 30s.
I mean, to be fair, though, the old people are resting up and training for Worlds right now.
Yeah.
So the young guns were out there firing still.
That's true.
How many people over 30 on the U.S. team? I mean, the dude in the 400 who got second was his name? Who's like a relay guy?
Michael Norman.
Not Michael Norman.
I guess I'd like to see the stats at Worlds. That would be very telling.
That would be interesting, yeah.
We'll have it for Jack's freaking trivia that I guess will be bi-weekly now.
Yeah.
We'll go bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly.
Schedule.
It'll be weekly from now on. This whole day got screwed up because of my PT appointment. Didn't have time to do that.
We had different energy in the afternoon. I don't know if it's better or worse. I guess we'll see. Like, comment, send to friends if you like our energy in the afternoon. I don't know. What else we got? We could wrap this thing up.
Let's wrap it.
Yeah.
Wrap this thing up. We're happy out here. Again, extra race brain coming out with some CrossFit stuff. Maybe Monday. Maybe we'll do it Monday. And then we have
Mexico.
Pan American. Mexico.
Yeah.
Are you on this?
Who's
Jack?
going?
Regional champs. I don't know. I haven't asked everybody.
I don't think
yet.
they're streaming.
Really?
Just because you didn't get asked?
I don't think there was ever a plan to stream it.
Well, I know some people who are going and some people who got denied, and we can talk about them later.
People got denied?
You
Denied
have
what?
a certain amount of points to even get in. Remember they came out with that system?
Which is funny because a Pan American Championship, any regional championship event is a 5-point event for attending, which is automatic bid to Worlds. But if you can't get to the event without points, you don't need 5 points to get into Worlds. And having more than 5 doesn't do anything for you. So it's like your ticket to get to Worlds,
race early and race often,
but you can't get here.
Yeah.
Wait, if you just qualify for it, you qualify for Worlds essentially, but you have to go to get
You qualify for the selection process for Worlds.
Yeah. So
for the 21K, 5 points gets you in. For the 3K, 5 points gets you eligible for selection. Is how
not everybody, they're still having 45 spots for Worlds for the 3K, but you need 5 points for either of the events, the Beast or the 3K. But if you want to sign up for the Beast, you can do it. If you want to do the 3K, you have to get selected from the whatever criteria they're using from that. But for Pan American, you need 4 points before this upcoming weekend in order to compete. So if you think about it, every local race, 1 point. Every 3K race, there've been 3 of them, is 3 points. So how many people have done a race more than a 3K and a local race? Or how many people have done that?
You get 3 points just for being at a race?
You have to cross the line.
Finishing. If you DNF, you don't get anything. But
so BK, you have 3 points?
Bracken has 3 points.
I have 3 points.
I have 7 rounded down to 5.
So this is why VJ didn't. So your place doesn't matter at all?
No, VJ is eligible to compete at place does not matter.
No, it does. The top 5 finishers
for Worlds.
Any regional series race gets automatic bid to Worlds.
Because VJ was saying like he didn't think he did.
Yeah, I'll start from the lower level stuff. So VJ has run Baylor 1 point, and he's done Palm
He did
Beach
Baylor.
3K, which is 3 points. So he's got 4 points total. Anybody who wants to race next weekend at the Pan American Championships for Mexico needs to have already had 4 points in their season.
What?
So if you look at
so
Atkins and Lindsay,
can't go. They can't
and can't go. Like I'm just looking at this is just based on the definition they have. Like,
Brian Kempson can't go.
Yep. 3 points. Emma, she hasn't raced this year. Lars hasn't raced this year. You've got a lot of people who are probably not going to be able to race.
Manuel Defoe can go because he has the points and he qualified here with those points.
He has like a gazillion points.
Yeah.
But so think about it. VJ or Kempson, by going top 5, you punch your ticket to Worlds. You have a limited time. You get an invitation link, as the rules say. If you're top 5 at a national event or a series event, a regional series, so the North American Championship Series event, he was top 5, so he gets his link to register for Worlds, but he can't go to North American Championships.
This seems very much like Hyrox's calendar issue.
Unless they would just say, hey, I get it, you're in.
Right.
But according to the rules, you're not in.
Yeah. It's like Atkins getting second, Lindsay getting first. They have enough automatically. They want to race Abu Dhabi, they're in. But
they're gonna do
if they want to do Mexico next week, Pan Am's, they don't have enough. A bit by definition. I don't know. Maybe they'll see what happens.
So they would have to go this weekend. Well, they just missed their chance.
They couldn't go this weekend.
Is there a race
they
this
won't
weekend?
have 45 people.
They're so I was
What's our race this weekend?
Kent and I were trying to find out. Asheville is next week. There's no other one, not in Mexico, not in Canada,
There's
not
no
in the
race
US.
this weekend?
None this
They
weekend.
had double weekends in the US and Canada this past week. So if you raced both, you could get in.
Yeah, I was telling Kent, you need to run a super on Saturday and then the elite sprint on Sunday and then the age group sprint on Sunday. Get 3 points in one weekend. And
does age group count? I thought it had to be elite.
It says age group series or age group and elite both. I know it's crazy, but
does DECA count anywhere in this?
Does it say Spartan OCR or Spartan race?
Wait, so let's say if something like Fenway.
Pull it up, Rich. If
2-day event at Fenway, you could run the elite age group, elite age group, and get 4 points in one weekend.
I believe so.
Could you run multiple age group waves?
I don't. I'm just going off what I think you'd be allowed to do.
Can you?
I don't know.
Can you register for multiple age groups?
What if you're born on a leap year?
That's not a bad question.
And you were in between. Let's say you were 30, a 39-year-old.
Here's what it says. All qualifying events are worth points for elite and age group competitors. Regular season equals 1 point.
And then, no, that's separated. Age group points are required to get to Abu Dhabi as well.
Oh, because they have a different, and they have Killington for their.
Yeah, so I think that's what that's referring to.
Never mind. So you have to run 2 separate race weekends then. Yeah.
But we're not
sure. And then, yeah, pretty much what we described. 5 points are required to earn 1 spot at the World Championship. Qualification into the Spartan 3K World Championship does not guarantee entry into the 3K event. 3K event is invitation only with priority registration given to select athletes at Spartan's discretion, which is the top 5 that you were describing, blah, blah. Any spots remaining will be offered to qualified athletes on a first come, first serve basis and will be extremely limited. So if you want to race in Abu Dhabi, better cover yourself and make sure you have those 5 points ahead of time, because I have a feeling they're going to be strict about it.
So you and I still could go.
If I wanted to, I could right now. I just have to assume that the first, 4 races of top 5 in 3K series, that those are already filled. And then I'm just competing for the remaining spots.
BK, get down there.
No.
Okay.
Get down where?
To Pan Am.
I can't. I don't qualify. I only have 3 points.
You need 4 points.
You need
That's
4.
what we're saying.
So here's who can't go. Rylan Shadig, who has won an event.
Did he do another Spartan somewhere?
What else did he do?
Oh, he DNF. No. He finished. He's still like 18th or something.
He did finish.
Where?
He got knocked out of round 2
at Palmerton and Big
Palmerton.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He did. I thought he was. That's right. So, Atkins can't go. Lindsay can't go. Kempson can't go.
Emma, Lars, Nicole. Nicole?
Lars hasn't done any.
I know. I'm just thinking big contenders.
I was just saying people who've already won one.
Nicole.
Nicole can't go.
She's only done. She did
None.
Palm Beach 3K. That's it.
Oh yeah, she did. She did that.
Yeah, she won
Botras?
it. He
Botras has
got
done at
fifth
least
in both
two.
races.
Oh, he
The
did
first
both.
two.
That's right.
Yeah, Veerman should be good.
Nick Mask cannot.
I don't think so. I think he's only done one.
I know Leon's going to be there.
And Logan has only done one. Oh, Logan did a stadium.
He did.
Yeah.
Not Notre Dame. Tampa.
Did he do Tampa or did he do Baylor?
It was with Isaiah. He did Tampa.
Tampa.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's Tampa.
wow.
All right.
I didn't realize the 4-point thing.
Is
He
Zero
did the
in?
worlds, but not regionals.
Zero's in.
Oh,
Zero's
locked him
in.
up.
Zero's
Locked
been
him
in.
up.
Keeper. All right. Well, you got some work to do, Jack.
Yeah.
We should start
We
right
should,
now.
we should have just stopped, but now we opened Pandora's box with that. But at least we got it out of the way for next time.
Hyrox, A+, Spartan, you're back to an F.
B+ at best.
We need to see who's going to be there. Maybe they'll make some exceptions to fill the field, but that would be a shame if a lot of the big names couldn't go if they wanted to.
Bracken, what do you got on TRP?
Well, we had on I'm going to blank on his last name right now, Dr. Doug last week, and
Adams.
he's a stride analysis
Oh,
guy. He
Cool.
they formed a company, Run DNA, which is all about 3D stride analysis. So you basically use motion capture technology like a video game or a movie with the reflectors
Ping
all
pong
over you
balls.
to get the mechanics of your stride. And they've made it a science. They have an algorithm for it. It's like you can't it's not to the human eye anymore. It's computer driven analytics. And he is also the PT for Tin Man Elite and a few international athletes. And it was a fantastic conversation. So we had that last week, and then we did our follow-up to it, which is if you do or don't want to get 3D stride, here's what you can do, the poor man's version, or by yourself until then, to try to refine your mechanics until you can pony up enough to do the 3D thing.
He's from Wilmington, Delaware, Rich. So
Nice.
He's a Delaware guy,
I like it. Basically Philly.
just outside Philly. He said he's like 30 minutes outside Philly.
Is that where his practice is?
Yeah.
Yeah, Wilmington's right over the border.
over the line.
No sales tax. So
But they have 3D analysis labs that they've contracted out and trained all across the U.S. So like Kirk's got one in Minneapolis.
how much that cost?
We didn't get into that.
You didn't ask?
No,
it might
it,
change.
it was one of those where the conversation was so stimulating, I didn't feel the need to press. It was just going places. We could have gone another 2 hours with the guy.
See Omega?
Yep. Omega is the PT and Run DNA is the stride analysis. Same building.
Same building. I don't know if I'll be able to find how much this is going to be.
Schedule now.
I'm in there, booking an appointment.
Yeah.
You might have to look on a Reddit or something. Anyway, we did our follow-up to that. And then we have Corinna Coffin coming on this week.
Nice. Corinna's always great.
And everyone's interviewed her. She kind of made the rounds when she opened up her own practice. And so we are going to do it a little different. We're going to have basically listener submitted questions for her. We're going to chat with her for a bit, and then we're going to rapid fire the people's questions to her. She's here. Let's use it.
Got to use it. I like it. On Mile Hybrid, Kent and I just talked about bullshit.
Rich,
Matt?
I gotta say, you put him in his place. The amount of trash talk that comes from your end is significantly better than the amount of trash talk from his end.
Thank you. He's trying to dodge me.
I
He's
was-
trying to dodge me in Decafit again. He's saying he might not even show to some of these races. I'm like,
When
kidding
you,
me?
you had some line on Spartan Games or something about riding a bike, and you're like, man, you won so many hearts when you showed everybody in America you could ride a bike again or something. I was
Yeah.
like, I lost it there. It was
Everyone
so
thought he
funny.
was great. He's just
Yeah.
crying. Or like,
Crying
whatever.
about riding a bike for the
freaking
first
bike.
time. Yeah.
We had a line. He had a line in one of our interviews with him, the one where he's talking about coming back from dad bod and lacking training and all that. And he got emotional during it. He's like, man, I don't know. I just like, this never happens to me. And Kirk and I both looked at each other. And afterwards, Lisa listened to it. She goes, what? I feel like he's cried in every interview I've ever heard him do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's only
He's in touch with his emotions, but
yes.
it happens.
Appreciate it. Appreciate that about him.
Not in
That's-
his mind, though. Never tears up.
He's stone cold.
Stoic.
He's only cried once so far in our 6 episodes, so that's not
not bad.
terrible. It's pretty good numbers. I should see if I can get him to cry every episode. That'll be a
Does he listen
reoccurring
to us?
segment. I don't. Maybe not
Here?
as much
He said
anymore.
sometimes.
He's not gonna. He did when he was always doing UPS. He would listen to
Yeah.
everything, but he might not be listening as much now. So I'll let him know.
You just got to get him talking about his hardships or his successes, because the man feels things viscerally.
Right in his
Like
all the way
bullying
to his
doesn't do it to him.
moans.
He's a dog, but you get him talking about the journey. Oof.
Correct. And all right, and then we got to talk about. We'll just talk. Let's hang around and talk offline for a second. But that'll be it. See you guys.
See you.
Adios.